Call Law Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakadash, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom Abaharyam. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, which is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Ba'ashem, which means in the name of Yahushai, is the name of the only begotten Son, who was sent to deliver the children of Israel from their sins. Ba'ashem Kakadash means in the name of the Holy Spirit, which is the volume of the book, the Spirit of Truth. Shalom Abaharyam. Peace to the elect, that's the men, women, and children whose names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life, who's ordained to be delivered in these last days. Shalom to you all. And the other day I was watching the Apostle Aram Lab, his video in regards to, here it goes here, Christians are anti-Christians or antichrist, anti-Christians are clueless and hypocrites. And he was going to the aspect of the Israelite foreigners and the diaspora in regards to the besieging of Jerusalem, all right, of Israel during the time of Antiochus. Okay, and some of these things you know already, but it's an epiphany. We learn as we go, and it dawned on me that people stumble on the fact that the concept of being a Jew and a Greek is actually a religion. Now we know more so that the Greek aspect is and was a religion that the Israelites started to worship and started to follow, right? Because it says here in First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yet many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed idols and profaned the Sabbath, right? Okay, so you had Israelites that converted to the religion of being a Greek. And this is why when you go into the book of Galatians, chapter 3 and 28, and other verses that say the same phrase, there is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Yahweh Shai. Now, even the concept of being a Jew, which I'm going to show, just like Paul even mentioned, okay, when you go to the book of Galatians, chapter 1, verse 13, for ye have heard of my conversation in time past, the Jews' religion, how that beyond measure I persecuted the church of the Most High and wasted it, and profited in the Jews' religion above many my equals in my own nation, being more exceedingly zealous of the tradition of my fathers. Now, on a surface level, you can say, yeah, the religion of the Jews was the law, but you have to understand that Paul was what? Paul stated and mentioned that what? That he was a Pharisee. Okay? All right. 1 second, real quick. In the book of Philippians, chapter 3, okay, verse 5 says, this is Paul referencing himself, circumcised the 8th day of the stock of the tribe of Benjamin, and Hebrew of the Hebrews, as touching the law of Pharisee. Because remember, you had the Sadducees, all right, you had the scribes, you had the doctors, all right. Now, the Pharisees were the main influence of the people, of the children of Israel. Even Yahweh Shai in the Matthew 23rd chapter, okay, Matthew 23 and 1, it says, then spake Yahushua to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. So the scribes had the most influence on the people. Now, when you do the research, as we see, okay, which I want to get back into the Greek aspect as well, just a bit, because we kind of understand that one, but Spirit revealed to me, when you go to, this is something that we already knew, my bad. Here we go. This is the legalism of the Pharisees. Okay, the legalism of the Pharisees. This is by Kent Crockett's devotionals, going back to Sunday, August 23rd, 2015. It says what? The Pharisees were the false religious teachers who constantly opposed Jesus, as it says, but we know his name is Yahweh Shai. There were 613 commandments in the Old Testament, but the Pharisees created over 1,500 additional fence laws for the people to obey. They believed the best way to keep the people from breaking God's law was to build a protective barrier around the law, even though the Lord never told them to do this. The people of Yahweh day were burdened down by man made legalistic rules that the Most High never commanded. Okay? It says in Exodus 20 and 10, it says not to work on the Sabbath day. So the Pharisees created 39 types of prohibited work so no one would break the law. Here are some of their fence laws. You cannot spit on the Sabbath because it would disturb the dirt and you will be guilty of plowing. You see? So yeah, man. All right. Because the Pharisees, they were over righteous, man. All right. They were going too far. They were being how would you say uh uh what's the right word for that? They were being tyrants, okay? Creating laws that weren't even there. That's tyrannical, okay? You could not swat a fly on the Sabbath because you would be guilty of hunting. A woman could not look at her reflection because she might see a gray hair and pluck it out, which would be doing work. They created loopholes to get around some laws. If your house was burning down on the Sabbath, you could not carry clothes out of it. Wow. However, you were allowed to put on several layers of clothes as the house was burning down. You could leave without breaking the law because you were wearing them instead of carrying them. Yeah, going back to the man that he was picking up sticks, you know. So they were over righteous, man. Okay, and this is why they were looking to put Yahweh Shai to death on the Sabbath, right? Because he says, he said, look, oh, that's heavy, you know. Let me see if I put work and Sabbath. Let's go to New Testament. Yeah, here we go. Right? This is Luke 13 and 14. And the ruler of the synagogue answered with indignation because that Yahweh had healed on the Sabbath day and said unto the people, there are 6 days in which men ought to work, and them therefore come and be healed, and not on the Sabbath day. The Lord then answered him and said, thou hypocrite, doeth not each one of you on the Sabbath loose his ox or his ass from the stall and lead him away to watering? And ought not this woman, being a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan hath bound, lo, these 18 years, be loosed from this on the Sabbath day? And when he had said these things, all his adversaries were ashamed, and all the people rejoiced for the glorious things that were done by him. All right. Let me see if I can find this real quick. I don't think this is the example. Um, this may be it. Give me one sec. Here we go. I'm going to verse 16. And therefore did the Jews persecute Yahushua and sought to slay him because he had done things on the Sabbath day. But Yahushua answered them, my father worketh hitherto, and I work. Therefore the Jews sought to the more to kill him because he not only had broken the Sabbath, but had also but said also that the Most High was his father, making himself equal with the Most High, right? Because they had special rules on the Sabbath day, okay? Just like the washing of hands, all right? Yeah, here we go. This is Matthew chapter 15, start at verse 1. Then came to Yahushua scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, why do thy disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread. Okay, and this is something that we learned from Apostle Tahar years ago. Okay, these traditions go back to those fencings. All right, these are commandments of men. Okay, when you go to the washing of hands, let's see what it says here. Here we go. The Strong's definition, it tells you here, it says, especially, it says to cleanse, especially the hands or feet or the face, ceremonially to perform ablution, wash. So they didn't weren't just talking about them washing their hands. They were talking about them doing it in a particular manner. And when you look it up, it goes back to the same way that, people in the restaurants and also two doctors in the hospitals in America wash their hands. It's a certain way that they wash their hands. I know when you are working in the kitchen, they tell you to sing the happy birthday song. That's how long you need to wash your hands for it to be cleansed enough for you to go back into the kitchen and work. After say for instance, you went to the bathroom, they tell you make sure when you wash your hands, you sing the happy birthday song. So that's long enough for you to know that your hands have been cleansed for you to go back. These are ceremonial traditions. Okay? So yeah, going back to the article, it says they created loopholes to get grounds of some law, right? Right. Here's another one. They said you could not travel more than 3/5 a mile from your house on the Sabbath. However, you could leave food 3/5 from you, 3/5 a mile from your home on the night before, which would make it permissible to travel twice the distance without breaking the law. You see? All right. Yeah, I'll read this as well. Your relationship with the Most High should be a joy and not a job. Well, that's not necessarily true when you get into the scriptures. Paul talked about the labor of love. All right, this is a labor of love. If you aren't enjoying your relationship with him, something is wrong. Now that's true. All right, because one of the fruits of the spirit is joy. So it's a balance. It's a job that we love. Okay. Maybe you're trying to follow man-made logistic rules instead of loving the Lord. Yahweh Shai said the greatest commandment is love. Because when you go to that example, what didn't they ask him which one is the greatest commandments? All right, let's go to that real quick. Matthew 22. He said, which commandment is the greatest? The one in Mark is the best. All right, let me see. Yeah, this is Mark chapter 12, verse 28. And one of the scribes came and having heard them reasoning together and perceiving that he had answered them well, asked him, which is the first commandment of all? You see? And Yahushua answered him, the first of all the commandments is, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Okay? And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment. And the second is like, namely this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There is none other commandment greater than these, right? Because there was always constant feuds and discrepancies within what? The Jews' religion, okay? That Paul spoke about in Galatians, the first chapter. I'm not sure if I read that. I'm quite sure I did. I'll get it again if need be, all right? Galatians 1 and 13. For ye have heard of my conversation in times past in the Jews' religion, how that beyond measure I persecuted the church of the Most High and wasted it, and profited in the Jews' religion above many my equals in my own nation, being more exceedingly jealous of the traditions of my fathers. Okay, zealous in the traditions. What is one of those traditions that we read? The washing of hands, the ceremony of washing of hands. And we read some more in the article. Okay? This is what Paul put off, and then he came into the more perfect way, understanding Yahweh Shai. And Yahweh Shai came to exemplify the law in the proper fashion in which it was displayed from the beginning. Okay? Not to where what the Pharisees had hinged over the head of the people. All right? So yeah, that's pretty much it on that. And then going, of course, When we go to the book of Acts, chapter 6 and verse 1, it says, And in those days, when the number of the disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration. And when we go into this word Grecians, okay, it says Hellenists, one who imitates the manner and customs or the worship of the Greeks, and use the Greek tongue used in the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek. Why? Because they also put on a separate religion. Okay, just like you had to. That's why the circumcision. That's why he said, "What circumcision availeth nothing." All right, circumcision availeth nothing. All right, but circumcision is what? The keeping of the commandments, the keeping of the law. That's First Corinthians, the 7th chapter. All right, and that's what he's ultimately saying when he says no difference between Jew and Greek. We're talking about there's neither Jew nor Greek. You had Israelites that were in the customs and the religion of the Jews. You had Israelites within the customs and the religion of the Greeks. Neither one of them understood Yahweh Shai. Okay? This is First Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 18. It says, Is any man being called circumcised? Let him not become uncircumcised. Is any called in uncircumcision? Let him not be circumcised. Circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing, but the keeping of the commandments of the Most High. And that's also attributed to the faith of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Okay? When you go to First John, I think it's 5, right? First John chapter 5, verse 1. Whosoever believeth in Yahweh Shai, that Yahweh Shai is the anointed, is born of the Most High. And everyone that loveth him, that begat, loveth him also, that is begotten of him. By this we know that we love the children of the Most High, when we love the Most High and keep his commandments. For this is the love of the Most High, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. Why? Because this is how you circumcise your mind. Going back to Abraham's covenant. All right. The circumcision of the foreskin was a replica or a uh, uh, physical replica of the circumcision of the mind. Being clean, you clean your mind by what? Keeping the commandments. All right, the Pharisees wasn't teaching that, and the Greeks wasn't teaching that, and that's where a lot of you Christians err, because you think that when Paul is talking about there's no difference between Jew and Greek, all right, or he's talking about getting away from the traditions of his fathers, he's talking about the actual commandments of the Most High. He's talking about the actual law, statute, commandments. No, that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about the religion that the Jews applied, the Pharisees applied, along with the law, statutes, and commandments. What made Yahweh Shai perfect? By him doing what? Keeping the laws perfectly. So it's impossible for the laws to be done away with. All right? And it's impossible for that not to be a part of our walk. Okay? Romans 3. All right? Romans 3 and verse 30. Seeing is one God which shall justify the circumcision by faith and uncircumcision through faith, right? Because the circumcision represented who? The Pharisees, the Sadducees, because there were righteous Pharisees. Okay? Nicodemus was one of them. Joseph of Arimathea is another. All right? Continuing on, it says, and uncircumcision through faith, meaning those that were born under that Greekish fashion, keeping the Greeks' religion that was given and passed down from their forefathers during the time of Antiochus and prior to that. Continuing on, do we then make void the law through faith? The Most High forbid. Yeah, we establish the law. All right, when you go into that word establish, okay,
Strong's G 2476. Histemi. Histemi.
to cause or make, to stand, to place, to put, to set, to bid, to stand by in the presence of others, in the midst, before judges, before members of the Sanhedrin, which the Sanhedrin was the 70 men that were basically the high priest over all the people, which were basically Pharisees, Sadducees, scribes, so on and so forth. all right, which were other religions. Basically, they had their own religion. So this shows you right here, this is opposite of what they were professing. To make firm, fix, establish, to cause a person or a thing to keep his or its place. Yeah, man. To establish the law, meaning this is the law keeps us navigating what's right from wrong within our moral compass on earth today. Okay? So that's pretty much it, man. I'm gonna close on that. Call Lord Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rakakwada. Shalom to the elect out there.